Okay, I'm going to give this one more try. I just started this same project a second ago and kind of fell apart on me. Computer was a little bit laggy, so I stopped, restarted everything, got everything all back going again, and I hope that we are good as we go. Looks like I just noticed in mine I got a new version of Fusion I need to upload. So I'll take care of that after I'm done here. All right, so what I want to do is I've got this model already created here. And what I want to do is I want to machine it on a multi-axis, something like a UMC 750 or 500. I'm going to go ahead and rotate this up to the top so that I've got my top up. I'll just go a long way around to get it. I'm going to set, you can see over here I've got a piece of stock. That's really just the extra stock. I'm going to start with a piece of 2" by 2" square stock, and I'm going to really make it a little bit longer. That way I've got something to grip into in the vise, and kind of the way I plan to run this, put it in the vise on the riser with the additional stock underneath it, face mill off the top of it. Give you a couple of options of either face milling all 5 sides of it or milling around the outside of it, doing a couple different things like that. But we need to get this additional stock put on the bottom of our part. So we're going to take this, skew it just a little bit. We've got this stock. All this is, I'll drag it in here and you can see it just a little bit better maybe. It is a piece of stock. It actually says stock to be removed. I'm going to move it down. And it is just a piece 1.85 by 1.85. That's the small side of this. This would be just this bottom area here. It's 3/8 of an inch long, and I just want to attach it to the bottom of our part. So I'm going to take it and I will go from the center of it, and I went ahead and put a little point right in the middle of the part, just so it's a little bit easier to find its home. And now it's attached to the bottom, and at this point it's good to go. It's got just this piece here, and again this blue piece is all going to be removed after the fact. So at this point I've got my part that I'm going to be machining, then I've got my smaller piece that's going to be removed later on. I'm going to go ahead and do a file save on this, and actually I'm going to rename it just so I don't mess up some of my other stuff that's out there. I'm going to call it 3+2 video one. I'll save that. So I still need to go ahead and get it put on the riser, so I'll do that next. So let's see, got that saved. I'll bring in my riser. This is just going to be my riser with the stock but no part on it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into my 135 folder. I've got a folder I created called risers and vices. I'm going to grab my riser with vice and stock. Just going to drag it over here. Give it a second to populate. Now, I did some work on these before. I'll put these in the modules for you guys. This was an import that I took off of Hawes's webpage, and I did a little bit of work to it just to make it a little bit easier to work with. And then I had it in some assemblies, and then I disconnected it to the assemblies, and then I made it one big giant component. So I have played around a little bit with it, and I'll show you how to do that too as we go. So we're going to take this guy here, this selected component, and we're going to go from the center here, if I can get pulled up to it. So from right there, and we're going to go up to the bottom of this blue part right here. and then we'll hit OK. And we'll get a front view of it again. Pan down a little bit and get out of that. Now we've got our block in the middle of our part, and so what I have here is just the vise, and I didn't take the time to move the jaws in so it would actually fit just like it, but I drew just a solid here. It's got a hole in it, and it really simulates some vise jaws that we had from a previous job. But at this point, I've really got my part ready to do the things that I need to do. I'll go ahead and do a save for this, just because I've gotten this far. I don't want to lose what I've got. So now I'll go ahead and go on in to my manufacturer. And I want to work top to bottom, left to right, get my setup going. Now, it immediately sees all of this as one giant unit. That is not what I want to machine. So I want to go in and start at the top, select my machine, get all the things that I don't want going on, get those out of the way. I'm going to pick the UMC 750. Trihedrons up there at the top, that's fine. And then I'm going to set, let's see, let's go back, and we will set either by this model, we can either go from a solid, we can pick my orientation, I can pick how I want things to work through here. I can also then choose here what is going to be a fixture. Well, all of this underneath here is part of fixture. So let's see if we can just drag it up. Nope. So we'll just go in and we're going to drag or highlight all of these components that make up the fixture. Should be everything. I deleted out some of the stuff inside of there. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK on that. I'm going to come back to it in just a second. I want to save what I've got. Okay. So save. I'm going to go back into my setup. And so now I really want to make sure that this thing knows what it is that I want to machine. All I want to machine is that. Now I didn't choose to show the stock on it. I can if I want to. So there's my part. I can also do, let's go from a fixed size box, and I can have that box be, I think that stock is 2x2. And it's definitely not that deep. In Z, it's probably 2x2. Let's go 2x2x2. And these off the top. No, that's not going to work. Offset of 0. Bring it back up to the top there. Probably, I better leave a little bit on the top. So probably better give it 75 thousandths offset for the top, and not sure, I've got red in those 2-inch sections. Okay, so I'll leave that alone as of now. That way I've got some stock that I'm actually going to show cutting. And probably have to go back and do a little bit of work on that in a little bit. I'll leave it alone for right now. Do a save on it. and go ahead and shoot to a top view. I'm going to start off with a face mill pass and skew it up just a little bit. So I want to use a 2-inch shell mill. 2-inch, it's really an insertable shoulder mill. So if you don't already have one, go ahead and create one. And if you don't know how to create one, I've pulled one up. I go back into it. You can take an existing tool, or you can go into Fusion and create a tool that's already there. So I'm going to go into this one and edit it. Because I see it says 3-inch shell mill here, so I'm going to change it. It is a Kennametal, but it's a 2-inch. And my suspicion is that the body on it could just be a little bit longer. Let's see if I can get a little bit of holder help. Maybe not. Okay. This has some projection on it. Probably not going to be really what I want. We'll try it. See what it looks like. Yeah, it's not quite what I want. Let's see. I really need to stay in that Cat 40 style. Let's see what something like this looks like. Now, those are all going to be kind of oddball holders. But I do need to get a little bit more length on it. That'll give me, let's just say I go with something that's got 4 inches of stretch on it. It's not going to be quite true to form, but it's going to give me a little bit better idea of what I need to have for tool extensions. I already set this one up earlier with 1,000 surface feet per minute and then feed per tooth. 5 teeth on this cutter, and I've got about a 12 thousandths chip load, so I'm going to be feeding about 120 inches a minute. It's going to be tool 2 because our probes are set into pot 1. Alright, so I'm going to accept that tool, and we're just going to have to know that it's not an exact true to form tool, but it is something that gives us just a little bit of distance. And depending on how we machine this, it's not really going to make that much difference. Obviously, this is a really long tool to use. Okay, so let's go ahead and do some machining on it. And that is the surface that I want to cut. So we'll go right to here, and we're going to do a face mill. Should have chose face mill first. Let me back up here. I don't want that. I do want face. And I'm going to select this face. And I really want to make sure that it goes all the way across. Not a huge fan of that radial moving out. There's my face I want to cut. And I want to go right down through the middle, so I'm going to do a step over of 2 inches. Pass direction probably doesn't matter much here, and probably don't need to worry about stock to leave. I can change my vertical lead in and lead out if I want to. I'll leave it alone for right now, and we'll see what it looks like. So it just barely comes off of it. And it's okay as long as everything is awesome. And we'll change our pass extension to be about 1 inch, 250 thousandths. We'll leave the radial up and down on it, but it'll extend out just a little bit more on that. So as of now, I'll go ahead and do just a simulation on it. And I think since I have the camera, or since I have a Camtasia going, and the Fusion is why I'm having so much problems with running this thing through here. So it may be a little jerky as it goes through. All right, that's not bad. So by having the machine base turned off, it's only going to show me really what matters at this point. So I can exit the simulation, go back, straighten things back up again, get everything kind of back into view. I can get rid of this waffle section because it's not really necessary for me anymore. I don't think I'll be needing it. I hope to not need it. All right, go ahead and do a file save. Then at this point, I'm going to give you a couple of different options here. Probably the easiest way to do this thing now is to do a 2D contour and to change tools. And we can go to one of our better end mills. I think I've got some newer 3/4 inch carbide 3 flutes, and then I've got some 1/2 inch 5 flutes. So we try maybe a 1/2 inch 5 flute on the outside of this, and it's already set up for tool 3, and I believe it's already set up for let's see, it's got a pretty high RPM. Let's go in and do some editing on that. That's gonna be pretty crazy. 42,000 is going to be a little high. So if we move our surface footage to 1,000, that puts it a little over 7,500 feet per tooth. I think I'll probably go down to about 8,000s on that. That puts my cutting feed at 300 inches per minute. Remember, it's a 5 flute, so it's a little bit bigger. I mean, a little more flutes on there. So that's tool 3, diameter offset 3. Okay. Let's go back, and I didn't do anything with the holder on it. I want to try to stay as true as I can with these end mills and how they look, because if you start to get the idea in your head of, I know what it looks like, that's great for you, but then this next person is going to come up behind you or after you and run the part, and it could be really potentially hazardous for them, because they're not going to know all the things that you've just remembered along the way. So by putting this in, oops, I better tell it what to do. So here's what I want to, so let me back up. By putting in the correct information, then you're you're guaranteed to be able to, when you simulate it, to be able to see all your potential errors that you may miss along the way. Okay, so on this one I'm going to do just a contour. I'm just going to do a chain around the outside of it, and I'm going to go to this outside edge and hit OK. Now that outside edge is not the bottom of the part. See, it's right up there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to selection, and I'm going to hit there, and I'm going to give it another 100 thousandths as it goes around that. Let's see, those things look pretty good. I'm not concerned about tool orientation at this time. I could go ahead and machine this to size or leave a little bit of stock. On this part, we're really not that concerned about size. I mean, I care about size, but what I care about right now is you getting the idea of how all of these things are working together. I think I'd be willing to take a shot at what that looks like right now. So one pass around it probably wouldn't hurt to do 2 passes around it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to duplicate this, and then on the first one go back in and edit it, leave a little bit of stock on it. I'll leave 10 thousandths radially. Axially doesn't really make much difference. So now I've got a rough pass and a finish pass basically going around it, leaving small amount of stock. So at this point we can Fusion's telling me I got slow performance. I can definitely tell that. So let's go ahead and do a simulation on it. You know, I always say that I don't like to do this in the classroom with the camera because it's so much harder to see. But man, it does run faster this way or that way. Alright, so face mill pass across it. I'm going to go 1 pass around it, and then I'm going to go another finish pass around it. That is not going to work with the way that we've got it right there, so we need to go back and edit that tool. Flute length on it needs to be a little bit longer. Let's say the overall length is 5, and then below the shoulder, let's say we got 2.5, and then let's say we've got 2.4, and then I think I have 2.35 for that, for the flute length itself. All right, let's try that. Okay. I'm going to do a Control G and regenerate all of my operations, even though they don't all need to be done. quick simulation over it. Okay, good. Okay, so let's do, I'm going to move some stuff out of the way here. We've got the face faced off. We went around the outside, rough it and finish it. Now let's start working through some of these bores here. So we'll go down and we'll do pocket clearing. For right now, I've got a 1/2 inch 5 flute end mill. I'm probably going to end up changing that end mill as we go. The one that I originally had kind of picked out for this one is one of our Core 5s, but they don't do a really great job of helical milling down. I've got some other 1/2 inch and some 3/4 inch that might be a little bit better for this particular setup that we've got, but we'll start with this for right now. So keeping those same parameters of the tool before, we're going to go in and we're going to select the things that we want to machine out. So we'll hit selection. I want to do this bore, this bore, and this bore. I want to go hit the top of it just to make sure I'm just getting the top of it. That's where I want to start at. From there on out, I want to leave about 10,000ths in each direction rather than 20. And my maximum roughing step of 50. I almost wonder if I should make that just a little bit smaller, just in case one of those Core 5s accidentally gets chosen as we're running through. Let's do a helical angle of 1 degree. Maximum ramp step down of 20,000. I know this makes this really pretty shallow, but we'll give it a shot and see what it looks like. Okay, it is a lot of cuts. It does take 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes to do this, and this isn't a perfect world, so we're probably gonna have a little bit more time added to it. Let's run through graphics and see what that looks like. Now we are leaving 10,000 stock, radial and axially, so we will need to come in and do some finish cuts on it. But we want to get all 5 pockets roughed out. Okay. And so from this point we can see what we've got, and looks like it'll be about where we want it to be. Let's take a look down here if we can see. Looks like it's getting everywhere where we want. All right, exit out of that. Do a little flipping around, get us back into place. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and save. And now, let's see, we can go ahead and start roughing out some of our sides. Continue to use this pocket setup. Let's flip it over here and we'll grab this side. So I'm thinking about this side first. And so really what I can do, I think, I could probably just duplicate this and then go into it. I don't really know how much help this, or how much time savings you actually get by doing this, but we'll get rid of these chains, and then we'll select a new, this one, oops, standby. Let me get some things back in order here. Let's go to orientation, and let's do X and Z. Z is going to be this face, X is going to be this line, and to make sure that's still in the middle of the part. Yep, this looks good. Now we'll go over to selection for let's see. It's still, I'm gonna get out of this for just a second. Come back into it. There's my pockets. Let's go back over those. I don't know that I quite trust that. That one, that one, and that one. And let's check and make sure that everything else looks good. Face selected, 10 and 10. Okay. Go ahead and save that. At this point, it may not be a bad idea to go ahead and start marking out or labeling what it is that we're doing. Just so we can keep track of the pockets that we're doing. So we've got that pocket there. We're just going to keep rotating around as we go. Okay, so I've got this one, got my top one done, I've got my side one done. I'm going to go ahead and begin to create a pattern for this machining. And so I can kind of do it two different ways. Go ahead and just add a new pattern. And we'll get it started. We're really just going to duplicate is what we're doing. And what we're doing is we're going to package this all up. So this is our second pocket. And we're just going to duplicate it. One more time around it. And so the advantage in doing this here is we've got this one thing that moves all together around it, so they'll all kind of function together as one. Right now they're all on one side. We're going to just reassociate these patterns to our new faces. And so we'll hit tool orientation, and we just need to hit the Z face right there, and then was I in Z and X? Get down there so I can see it, and I'll pick the edge of that face. And I'll need to come back. And reassociate those chains. That's really pocket 3. And so we'll go ahead and name it. Pocket rough, I think. Now we're going to go to the next pocket. We'll open it up. Go back and change our orientation. See face. Go down here, grab X, and then we'll come back up here. We'll grab 1, 2, 3. That gives 4th pocket rough. And now we should, let's see, what do we got? One, 2, 3. We just need to grab this last one, right? So we got 1. So this is our top pocket, 2nd pocket, 3rd pocket, 4th pocket we just did. 5th pocket is what we need to do. And it's going to be on this side. Select our Z face. Select our X edge. And let's grab our contours. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at it. I'm going to do a quick save and fit, and we'll bring it up to the top to do simulation. Just kind of remind ourselves of the stuff that we've been doing. So we've rotated. This would be pocket 3. Pocket 4. Pocket 5. That pocket needs to be renamed. No collisions, plenty clearance. This tool is a little longer than it actually will be. Let it finish out. Oh. Okay. I've got a duplication here is what I've got. Okay, I ended up having to remove my pocket or my pattern. I had a little problem with it duplicating. So I just pulled it out, and The downside is now these are all just individual components rather than being kind of grouped together, but they'll still work for what we got. Okay, so that's our roughing for the entire part. And so we've taken and finished our top. We roughed and finished around the outside of it. We've roughed our pockets. So now we can go in and maybe let's chamfer all of the faces on it. That does get a little tricky in a couple of small areas, such as this section right here. We're going to give it a shot and see what it looks like. And I will at least do a couple of the sides, and then you can do the rest of them, and then we'll go in and finish one of these pocket faces. Like we'll do these 3 bores on one of these sides. Then drilling, I'll do one face, and then you can finish up the rest of them on your own. So let's go ahead and do. Let's see if we can get away with calling this a face. And I'm going to go in and do my tool orientation and set it up for, on this one's going to have to be Z and Y. So this is my Z face. This is my Y edge. Oh, come on, pull down. There we go. So I'm going to go my Z face, my Y edge. And so if you put it here, kind of flip it over a little bit, you can see it. Maybe a little bit better, maybe not. And then what we're going to do is we'll just go down and select here. We're going to select face contour. We're going to contour that face. And I don't know that it really matters how we do that. It should be one single, one single face across there. Okay, select that face. And no selection. Okay, there's our face. Same tool. Let's go ahead and, just to be on the safe side, we'll go to bottom height. We'll hit selection at being on this face. No offset. Okay, so that works. It just doesn't, it's just not what we want. So let's go back into it and let's just change our path direction, and we'll go 90 degrees from that. Our path extension, everything else looked good. So now we've got that face there. Okay, so we'll save it. Let's do this little bitty face over here. Try and drag it down so we can see it. Okay, so the face that I want to get is this one. Try to put it into a position that fits better for viewing. Oh, something about like that. Bring this thing around, bring it over a little bit like this. Okay, so I don't have a Y face anymore, or a Y edge anymore, but now I do have an X. So let's go ahead and see if we can't get it. And we'll go tool orientation, and we'll go X and Z. So this is our Z face, and then this will be our X edge. And we're going to face this section, and let's see what it looks like. I think I'll change my direction. And really, direction on this doesn't make a whole lot of difference. More personal preference. But I want to try and stay away from going into areas that have potential problems. So here I've got this face. Now, on this part, since we went around the outside of it with the end mill, and if you want to index around and face mill all those faces rather than end mill, you sure can. So all of these faces are done. So go ahead and whip around it, doing large face, large face, large face, large face, and then short face. Same thing for all of those, okay? Now let's go ahead and do one of the faces for the finishing. So typically on something like this, I'm just going to go in and do a 2D contour. And I'll probably do this, get my orientation right. X and Z, this is my Z face. This will be my X. And then, yep, that chain still works. I want to select the bottom of it, just so I know where it's going. And then one thing I want to check, make sure that I didn't leave any stock. Stock to leave is not checked, so I'm okay. So that's one finished face. I can duplicate that around the outside. I can even really duplicate it here. So I got two more of those, so I can duplicate and then one more time. And my orientation is set up. I just need to change what I'm actually going to cut. So get rid of the chain, pick a different edge, hit OK, come down. Now it's going to be this face that I want to actually cut. That one came out good. Go back in and grab this one. Again, orientation stays the same. Select my chain. And same thing down. Select the bottom face of this thing. And okay. So now I've got all, I just continue around and do all of those. Let's switch directions. Let's go here and we'll grab these three. Now on this one, I can't quite remember. I feel like it's 1/8 of an inch. 1/8 of an inch in diameter, yeah. And so I'll do a quick save. And then I'm just gonna drill that. It's gotta be pretty skinny down in there. I don't know if I can select a point, maybe. Let me get my tool orientation set up. This is my Z face. This is my X edge. We'll grab those three. Let's see, I'm gonna move this over here. It looks like we're going okay in there. Let's go ahead and run it and see. Okay, it's doing it. Small problem. Wrong tool. Let's go in and grab an 1/8 inch drill. It's tool 6. I probably will not leave it tool 6, but it'll be okay for this one. I can probably its whole top is probably fine. I don't need any kind of peck drilling for it. Whoops. Simulate this. Okay. At this point, I've got not necessarily a full-blown, full version of the finished part, but I've got enough for you to get up and going. So I'll do a quick simulation through it. We'll call it good. That went faster than I expected. Let's back it up and redo that thing. Get this thing orientated back again. Face mill could go a little faster. And really, the roughing of the pockets could probably go a little faster. Probably take a look and see what the first one looks like, and then I would encourage you to go back in to the cam side of things and fix it, and then go from there. Finish pass, pocket. This is the top pocket. Rotate 90. Okay. That I can live with. Save. Okay. And then really at that point, you should be ready to post your program. And one thing I want you to make sure that you're doing on your configuration, you can turn the chip conveyor on at the beginning, but I want you to think about, do you really want the chip conveyor to run the entire time? So we can do some playing around with that. Preload tool, yes. Optional stop, yes. Use rapids, radial arcs, and let me keep going down here. We did fast tool change. If you want to set a different home, you can. I wouldn't. I think I'd leave it with G53X0Y0. Make sure that you have DWO and TCPC on, and then I'll let you set this up however you want as far as increments for line numbers and sequencing. And then everything else looks pretty darn good. I think that I could probably live with what we have here. Remember, keep your program below 9,000 and we will all be happy then. Okay, this is your assignment for the week, so let's get it done and get it turned in. See ya.